Choi Bandu and Mei Jin-Joo's life has fallen into a routine full of resentment and resentment. Bandu, who faces the daily drudgery of work and family responsibilities, feels that the love in the marriage has disappeared. Jin-Joo, who has lost herself in the cares of her family, feels deep loneliness and frustration. The daily quarrels between them have become routine, and it seems that the way out is divorce. Having made this hard decision, they believe that it is no longer possible to return the former joy and mutual understanding that once bound them. But the next morning their lives change dramatically. Bandu and Jin-Joo wake up in their young bodies, 18 years back in their college years. At first they both think it's a dream or a strange misunderstanding, but they quickly realize that they've actually been given a second chance to live their youth all over again. Now they have the chance to reconsider their previous decisions and try to change the future. Bandu sees this as a chance to avoid the mistakes of the past, and perhaps build a life anew by following different priorities. He thinks about how he could have built his career differently and avoided the path that brought him to his current state. However, when he sees the young Jin-Joo around him, he involuntarily begins to remember that he once truly loved her. Jin-Joo, for her part, decides not to make the same mistakes of the past again, seeking to be more independent and confident in her actions. She wants to live her life the way she's always dreamed of, no longer dependent on external circumstances, and no longer victimized by family obligations. However, despite her ambitions, she can't help but notice that her feelings for Bandu are still alive. At first, they both try to keep their distance, avoiding unnecessary contact with each other. Bandu decides to focus on herself and her abilities, while Jin-Joo wants to enjoy the youth and freedom she now has. But as they begin to encounter each other in ordinary situations, memories of when their relationship first begin to surface. Finding themselves back on the university campus, Bandu and Jin-Joo are immersed in the atmosphere of their college years. They have to reintegrate into the youthful company, getting used to a life without commitment that they have long forgotten. While Jin-Joo decides to try new opportunities, including meeting other men, Bandu gradually begins to realize that his feelings for her have never faded. Every time they cross paths, tension flares up between them that they can't ignore. Jin-Joo, despite his best efforts to get away from past mistakes, begins to remember the happy moments they shared when they were young. Bandu, though he tries not to think about the past, can't shake the feeling that he's lost a lot, and that his love for Jin-Joo was and still is an important part of his life. Everything around them remains the same as it was in those distant college years, but their inner world changes. They get the opportunity to not just repeat their choices, but to realize what led them to the life they had led up to that point. Bandu begins to question whether life could really be better without Jin-Joo. Jin-Joo, for his part, realizes that despite all the difficulties, their relationship was built on real feelings that just got lost under the weight of everyday life. Choi Bandu and Ma Jin-Joo continue to adjust to the new reality they find themselves in after returning to their young bodies. The realization that they are 20-year-old students again brings with it many conflicting feelings. Bandu and Jin-Joo, on the one hand, feel relieved that their adult problems have seemingly disappeared, but on the other hand, face new difficulties and memories that return with their youth. Bandu, who has been immersed in his career and family commitments, now tastes freedom. Returning to student life, he feels renewed, for now he has the chance to relive the years when everything still seemed possible. Bandu decides to use this chance to change his future, and believes that his return to the past is a way to avoid the mistakes that led to his disappointment in his marriage. Ma Jin-Joo, on the other hand, sees her return as a chance to reevaluate her life priorities. When she was younger, she often sacrificed her interests for her family, but now she decides to focus more on herself. She begins to look at her life differently, deciding to become more independent and confident. Jin-Joo realizes that their divorce was the result of accumulated frustration, and now she has the opportunity to reconsider her decisions and build a different life. However, despite their ambitions to change their lives, the two can't completely avoid each other. At university, they see each other more and more often, and this causes them to have mixed feelings. They both try to distance themselves from each other to avoid repeating old mistakes, but every time their paths cross, memories of a time when their love was new and pure resurface. Bandu begins to see that his feelings for Jin-Joo haven't disappeared despite all the problems that have arisen in their marriage. He realizes that even though he's trying to start over, his affection for her remains strong. Jin-Joo, for her part, tries to keep her distance, but her memories of how they fell in love keep her at bay. They both face inner doubts. Can they truly change their fates if their feelings are still alive? Other people also appear in this new reality, and begin to play an important role in the protagonist's lives. Young Nam-gil, an attractive and confident classmate, begins to show interest in Jin-Joo. He sees her not only as a charming girl but also as a strong personality, and this attracts him. Jin-Joo, though surprised by Nam-gil's attention, begins to wonder if she should try a different path and start a new relationship, leaving her past behind. Bandu notices Nam-gil getting closer to Jin-Joo, and it makes him feel jealous. He realizes that he's not ready to give up on her so easily, But at the same time, he can't fully admit his feelings. Ban-do isn't sure he's capable of righting the wrongs of the past and tries to distract himself by focusing on his career and the new opportunities that are opening up for him. Despite his attempts, however, Ban-do finds himself increasingly absorbed in thinking about what he's done wrong in the past and whether by changing some things, he can get Jin-Joo back. These thoughts begin to worry him, and he thinks more and more about the time when they were happy together. It becomes clear to him that the divorce didn't solve their problems, but only showed him how deep their feelings were, and that maybe he made a mistake when he decided to end their relationship. Jin-Joo, for her part, begins to notice that despite Namgil's interest, her heart is still tied to Ban-do. She realizes that their relationship wasn't a mistake, and that there were many beautiful things about it that they just stopped seeing because of everyday worries and pressures. Jin-Joo begins to wonder if her new path will really lead to happiness, or if she should give her relationship with Ban-do another chance. Choi, Ban-do, and Jin-Joo, despite their new chance to relive their youth, face internal conflicts and complexities that follow them from the past. The realization that they can change their future empowers them to act, but it also raises a lot of questions and doubts. Now each of them, in their own way, is trying to make sense of their feelings and actions. Ban-do, determined to change his life, tries to focus on how to improve his future. His youth gives him new opportunities, and he is ready to build his career with renewed vigor. However, he finds it increasingly difficult to avoid memories of the past associated with Jin-Joo. Their chance encounters on the university campus constantly remind him of how their love began. And despite his best efforts to focus on his new opportunities, thoughts of Jin-Joo keep him busy. Jin-Joo, for her part, faces new emotions when Jung Namgil starts paying attention to her. His confidence and charm attract her, and she begins to wonder if her life could turn out differently if she made different choices. Namgil is an attractive and successful student who seems to have everything under control. He begins to give Jin-Joo signs of attention that do not go unnoticed. Jin-Joo, embarrassed by his attention, gradually begins to think that her life might have turned out differently if she had chosen a different man. At the same time, Ban-do, watching Jin-Joo and Namgil grow closer, feels his heart clench with jealousy. He realizes that he's never lost his feelings for Jin-Joo, even with all their fights and misunderstandings in the past. Ban-do begins to question his decision to end his relationship with her. He tries to hide his feelings and convince himself that he can start over and put the past behind him, but his emotions are getting stronger. Jin-Joo, although she becomes interested in Namgil, gradually realizes that her feelings for Ban-do are still alive. Memories of how they went through hardships together, how they supported each other when they were young, resurface in her mind. Jin-Joo realizes that despite the appeal of new opportunities, she can't completely give up her love for Ban-do. Inner doubts begin to plague both of them. Ban-do, who at the beginning was confident that he could change his life, is now faced with the fact that his old feelings are not so easily put behind him. He remembers how Jin-Joo was a pillar of support for him during the most difficult moments of their lives. Now that they're young and free, Ban-do begins to wonder if he can do things differently and win her back. Jin-Joo, despite her interest in Namgil, begins to realize that her connection with Ban-do was special. Her love for him never completely disappeared. And now, back in the past, she feels that their breakup was the result of accumulated misunderstandings and fatigue, not a lack of feelings. Memories of how Ban-do cared for her, how they built their lives together, begin to override her doubts. Namgil continues to show attention to Jin-Joo, and this only intensifies the inner conflict in her soul. On the one hand, she's facing an attractive young man who is openly interested in her and offers her new opportunities. On the other hand, her heart still belongs to Ban-do, and she can't completely ignore her feelings for him. Jin-Joo wonders whether she should start a new relationship with Namgil or give her marriage to Ban-do a second chance. Ban-do, for his part, feels increasingly lost. He realizes that his jealousy of Namgil is a sign that his love for Jin-Joo has not disappeared. He begins to make attempts to get closer to her, but he doesn't know how to do so without destroying what has already changed between them. Ban-do sees Jin-Joo smiling at Namgil, and it hurts him, but he's afraid to admit his feelings to her. Those around them also begin to notice the tension between Ban-do and Jin-Joo. Their friends and classmates don't understand what's going on between them, but they can see that they clearly care for each other. Their every look, every word is filled with hidden emotions that they can't express openly. Ban-do and Jin-Joo try to keep everything under control, but their real feelings cannot be hidden. Gradually, things start to heat up. Ban-do realizes that if he doesn't step up, he might lose Jin-Joo forever. He starts looking for ways to spend more time with her and try to mend their relationship. However, Jin-Joo remains confused. Her interest in Namgil seems like a new chance at happiness, but her love for Ban-do prevents her from making a final choice. Meanwhile, Namgil continues his attempts to get closer to Jin-Joo. He sees her not only as an attractive girl but also as someone he would be interested in building a future with. Jin-Joo, though flattered by his attention, begins to remember more and more the times when she was happy with Ban-do. She can't decide whether she should try new things or return to her old feelings. Bandu, realizing that their fate hangs in the balance, decides to finally talk to Jin-Joo. He realizes that he can no longer avoid his feelings, and that divorce wasn't the right decision. Bandu wants to convince her that they can try things again, but he doesn't know how to start that conversation. He realizes that now everything depends on whether he can sincerely show his feelings and convince Jin-Joo that their love deserves a second chance. After all the emotional turmoil of returning to the past, Choi Bandu and Ma Jin-Joo continue to try to find their place in the new old reality. Despite their best efforts to distance themselves from each other, the past and their present feelings constantly remind them of themselves. Every day they face situations that put them in front of difficult choices. Bandu, despite his initial intentions to build a new life, begins to feel more and more that he can't forget Jin-Joo. Her presence reminds him of the times when they were truly happy. Bandu finds himself in more and more situations where he has to reflect on the fact that their breakup didn't solve any problems, but only showed how deep his feelings for her are. He begins to notice that every time Jin-Joo appears near him, his heart can't stay indifferent. Ma Jin-Joo continues to feel an inner conflict. Jung Nam-gil is still actively interested in her, and she can't help but think that her life could have turned out differently if she had chosen another man. However, her memories of her past with Bandu begin to become more and more explicit. Jin-Joo remembers how they supported each other through difficult times, and those memories make her wonder if her life would really be better without Bandu. Bandu, seeing Namgil's attention to Jin-Joo, becomes increasingly jealous. He realizes that he can't remain indifferent when he sees another man doing what he himself stopped doing a long time ago, showing her attention, care, and support. Bandu begins to question his decision to give up the fight for her heart, and his jealousy begins to make him want to win her back. But he is still afraid to admit to himself that their love has not disappeared, but is only hidden behind their misunderstandings and resentments. The situation escalates when one day Jin-Joo and Bandu find themselves at the same party, where they both come face to face with their feelings. Nam-gil is also present at the event and makes no secret of his interest in Jin-Joo. Bandu, watching this, realizes that he can no longer ignore his emotions. He feels like he's about to lose her forever if he doesn't take action. Jin-Joo, caught between two fires, feels increasingly confused. Her heart is still tied to Bandu, but Nam-gil's attention makes her think that maybe she should take a risk and start a new relationship. At the party, however, when she sees Bandu watching her with sadness and jealousy in his eyes, Jin-Joo begins to realize that her feelings for him haven't disappeared. The party becomes a major turning point. At one point, Bandu, unable to bear his emotions, decides to approach Jin-Joo and have a frank conversation. He confesses to her that all this time he couldn't get rid of the idea that their breakup was a mistake, and that he still loves her. Bandu says that their marriage wasn't a mistake, and that their problems stemmed from misunderstandings and fatigue, not because they stopped loving each other. Those words make Jin-Joo wonder. She didn't expect Bandu to make such a revelation, and she realizes that her own feelings for him never went away either. However, she's still not sure if she can go back to the way things used to be. Jin-Joo realizes that their marriage was full of hardships, but also the happy moments they shared. Now she faces a difficult choice: keep trying to build a new life or give Bandu a second chance. Bandu, seeing that Jin-Joo is hesitating, offers her time to think things over. He realizes that her decision shouldn't be rushed, and gives her space to sort out her feelings. Inside himself, however, Bandu realizes that he's willing to fight for their love and do whatever it takes to right the wrongs of the past. Jin-Joo, left alone with her thoughts, begins to remember what really made their marriage so difficult. She realizes that many of their problems stemmed from a lack of communication and an inability to express their true feelings. Now she has a chance to consider whether she can change her attitude toward Bandu and give him a chance to prove that their love was real. Meanwhile, Nam-gil, though still paying attention to Jin-Joo, senses that she's no longer as open to a new relationship. He realizes that her heart still belongs to Bandu, and though it's hard for him to accept, he respects her choice. Nam-gil begins to pull back, leaving Jin-Joo space to make her decision. After the party where Bandu openly confessed his feelings to Ma Jin-Joo, their world changed. These words deeply moved Jin-Joo, causing her to reflect on their relationship. Now they both find themselves on the cusp of change, where difficult decisions must be made about whether they can be together again or continue to live separately. Bandu feels that after his confession, their relationship has started to change a bit. Even though Jin-Joo hasn't given him a definite answer, he can see that her behavior is becoming more mellow. Bandu starts to hope that they have a chance to regain their former love, but his fear of losing her again still lingers. He tries not to pressure her and give her the time she needs to think, but he feels inside himself that he has to accept or he might miss the moment. Jin-Joo is in an emotional mess. She can't forget the way Bandu opened up to her at the party. Those words caused her a whole storm of feelings, reminding her of the moments when their love was strong and sincere. However, she is still afraid of repeating the mistakes of the past. Their marriage was full of difficulties, and Jin-Joo doubts whether they can handle the problems that might arise again if they decide to return to each other. Watching Jin-Joo, Bandu tries to do something to help her realize that their relationship deserves a second chance. He begins to give her more attention and care, showing her that he's willing to make amends and no longer make the mistakes that led to their breakup. Ban-do does his best to show Jin-Joo that their relationship can be repaired if they both work on it. At the same time, Jin-Joo continues to receive attention from Jung Nam-gil. He doesn't give up despite the obvious closeness between her and Ban-do and continues to offer signs of attention. Nam-gil is attractive, successful, and confident, and Jin-Joo can't help but feel flattered by his interest. However, the more Nam-gil tries to get closer to her, the more Jin-Joo realizes that her heart is still drawn to Ban-do. Despite all the attention Nam-gil gives her, she can't get rid of thoughts of her husband and the moments they shared together. Ban-do, noticing that Jin-Joo is still hesitating, decides to give her a little surprise. He remembers how, at the beginning of their relationship, they used to love spending time together in the park, discussing dreams and plans for the future. Ban-do organizes a meeting at the place, hoping it will remind Jin-Joo of the times when they were happy. He brings along the food she loved and tries to create an atmosphere that will bring back the feelings they shared. Jin-Joo, though touched by his gesture, is still not ready to make a final choice. She realizes that Ban-do has changed and sees how he tries to show her his love, but her fear of repeating old mistakes remains. Jin-Joo knows that their marriage once fell apart due to a lack of communication and mutual understanding, and she fears that they might face the same problems again. Meanwhile, the relationship between Jin-Joo and Nam-gil begins to crack at the seams. Nam-gil, though he continues to show interest, feels that Jin-Joo can't fully reciprocate him. He sees that her feelings for Ban-do are deep, and despite his best efforts, she can't completely break free of her past. Nam-gil begins to realize that their connection can't grow into something more, since Jin-Joo truly belongs to Ban-do. After a few days of reflection, Jin-Joo decides that she needs to talk to Ban-do frankly. She realizes that she's not afraid of repeating mistakes, but that they might lose each other again if they don't give their marriage a second chance. Jin-Joo comes to Ban-do and tells him that she's willing to try again if they're both willing to change and work on the relationship. She confesses that despite all the difficulties, her love for him has never faded. Ban-do, upon hearing these words, feels a great sense of relief. He realizes that their love, despite all the obstacles, is still strong. They both decide that they will not repeat the mistakes of the past and will start fresh. Now they know that in order to keep the relationship alive, they need to work on it, talk openly about their feelings, and support each other in difficult moments. After Jin-Joo decides to give her relationship with Choi Ban-do a second chance, trust slowly begins to rebuild between them. However, their path to reconciliation will not be an easy one. Old resentments and habits still linger, and each of them will have to go through challenges to keep their love alive and not repeat the mistakes of the past. Despite this, both are determined to change their fate and prove that their feelings are still important. Ban-do, feeling relieved that Jin-Joo has decided to try again, begins to act differently. He tries to be more attentive and caring, showing patience and support, something that had been lacking in their relationship before. Ban-do realizes that his past actions were often dictated by stress and pressure, but now he has a chance to be the man for Jin-Joo that she deserves. He decides that he will no longer repeat his past mistakes, when work and outside concerns completely distracted him from his family. Jin-Joo, though determined to give the relationship a second chance, still isn't sure if they can handle all the problems. Her love for Ban-do is still strong, but she realizes that they have a lot to discuss and rethink in order for their union to be strong and secure. Jin-Joo reflects more and more on the moments in their marriage that led to the crisis and realizes that they both need to change and become more open with each other in order to be happy. Meanwhile, Jung Nam-gil begins to pull back. He notices that Jin-Joo is leaning more and more toward reconciliation with Ban-do and decides not to interfere in their relationship. Nam-gil, despite his feelings for Jin-Joo, realizes that she loves her husband and his attempts to win her heart will not succeed. He decides to retreat into the background, leaving Jin-Joo to pursue a relationship with Ban-do. However, despite the improved situation, Ban-do and Jin-Joo still have many unresolved issues. One of the main challenges becomes the need to discuss past mistakes. Ban-do realizes that he has to be honest with Jin-Joo if they want to build a healthy relationship, and decides to tell her about all the times he felt lost in the marriage. He admits that his constant immersion in work and ignoring her feelings was one of the reasons they broke up. Jin-Joo, hearing his confession, feels her pain resonate as well. She realizes that Ban-do wasn't the only one to blame for their problems, but that she herself often shut herself away and didn't share her experiences and feelings. They begin to discuss how they can have a more open and honest relationship in the future, so that they don't make the same old mistakes. These frank conversations help them bond, but they also bring up a lot of emotional memories. Jin-Joo is still painfully reminded of how lonely she felt when Ban-do gave himself completely to his work, and he, in turn, begins to realize how intense her worries were at the time. Nevertheless, they both realize that these conversations are necessary for their recovery. Ban-do, in an effort to show more consideration, organizes a romantic dinner for Jin-Joo. He cooks her favorite dish for her, trying to express his care and attention in this way. Jin-Joo feels warm emotions, and she begins to see Ban-do as the man she once fell in love with. In turn, Jin-Joo also takes a step forward, showing that she's willing to work on their relationship and is ready to forgive. Meanwhile, those around them also notice how their relationship is slowly changing. Their friends and acquaintances see that Ban-Do and Jin-Joo have begun to reconnect and look at each other differently. This raises questions and curiosity in many people's minds, because to those around them, they are still students who seemingly just started a relationship. But for Ban-Do and Jin-Joo, it's no longer just a return to their youth, it's a chance to correct past mistakes and become better people. Despite all the positive changes, the road to full reconciliation is still long. Ban-Do and Jin-Joo realize that working on a relationship takes time and patience. They have to deal with all the problems they've accumulated over the years and learn to trust each other again. But now they are ready for it, realizing that their love is worth all the effort. Now their common action is to build the relationship on a stronger foundation. They both realize that love is not just a feeling, but a work to be done every day. Ban-Do and Jin-Joo decide to move forward together, supporting each other in difficult moments and openly discussing their problems. They no longer want to repeat the mistakes of the past, but are ready to create a future where they will be happy together. After all the difficulties and emotional revelations that Choi, Ban-Do and Ma Jin-Joo have experienced, their relationship gradually begins to change. They find common ground again, learn to trust each other, and be more open. However, despite the positive developments, they still have a lot of work to do on themselves and their relationship in front of them. Going back in time was not just a chance for them to start anew, but also an opportunity to understand themselves and their partner more deeply. Ban-Do, inspired by his success in reconciling with Jin-Joo, decides not to put off important conversations any longer. He realizes that the trust between them needs to be strengthened, and he no longer wants to repeat the mistakes that led them into crisis. He's now more proactive in his attention to detail and how Jin-Joo reacts to his actions. He tries not only to take care of her, but also to listen to her needs and desires, something that was so often lacking in their past marriage. Jin-Joo, for her part, feels their relationship growing stronger. She sees how Ban-Do has changed, and it inspires her to try harder too. Jin-Joo, who used to often shut herself off and not express her emotions, now realizes that open communication is the key to their successful relationship. She tries to talk about what she cares about and not hold grudges inside like she did in the past. Meanwhile, Jung Nam-gil finally realizes that his attempts to get closer to Jin-Joo will not succeed. He sees her getting closer and closer to Ban-Do and realizes that their bond is too strong for him to break. Nam-gil decides not to interfere in their relationship anymore, but maintains his friendship with Jin-Joo. He respects her choice and realizes that their relationship was doomed from the beginning because of her feelings for Ban-Do. For Ban-Do and Jin-Joo, a new stage is coming for them when they have to make important decisions about their future. Their return to the past has given them the opportunity to not only reevaluate their relationship, but also to think about what they really want out of life. Ban-Do begins to think more about the role his career plays in his life and realizes that work should not take center stage in his life at the expense of his family. He decides to reassess his priorities and pay more attention to Jin-Joo and their future. Jin-Joo also begins to reconsider her attitude toward her family and herself. She no longer wants to be the kind of woman who completely sacrifices herself for others. She now realizes that balance is important in relationships. Her own desires and dreams are just as important as her family's needs. Jin-Joo decides to do more of the things that bring her joy and help her develop as a person. However, despite their best efforts, Ban-Do and Jin-Joo still face obstacles. Their new beginning doesn't mean that all the old problems have disappeared. They're still learning how to rebuild their lives, and that requires patience and understanding. Sometimes there are moments when their old habits and shortcomings show up again, but now they know how to deal with it. They discuss their feelings and try to support each other. One such moment comes when Ban-Do is on the verge of diving back into work. His bosses start to pressure him for more and more time and effort, and Ban-Do feels like he might repeat old mistakes. However, he now realizes that he doesn't want to put work before family again. Ban-Do decides that he'd rather give up some professional opportunities but spend more time with Jin-Joo. He realizes that happiness can't be bought with success at work if his personal life suffers in the process. Jin-Joo supports his decision, even though she herself is also facing difficulties. She realizes that her desire to be independent and have her own goals sometimes conflicts with her role in the family. However, now that she and Ban-Do have open communication, they can discuss these issues and find compromises. Jin-Joo learns to find a balance between her personal aspirations and caring for her family, realizing that she no longer needs to completely sacrifice herself for others. Through these changes, their relationship grows stronger. Ban-Do and Jin-Joo begin to realize that their marriage, though full of problems, was never a mistake. They now see that their love can overcome all challenges if they are both willing to work on themselves and their relationship. Both feel that their bond is deeper and stronger than ever before. Choi, Ban-Do and Ma Jin-Joo gradually continue to strengthen their relationship, but realize that their journey is not over yet. Although they both try to be more attentive and caring to each other, old fears and mistrust still occasionally resurface. Their journey into the past has given them a chance to start anew. But now they have another important task ahead of them, to make sure they don't repeat the mistakes that once led them to break up. Jin-Joo, who is growing stronger in her decisions, continues to find a balance between her personal life and her ambitions. She realizes that being a wife and mother is not her only role, and she wants to find her place in life as an individual. In the past, Jin-Joo has often forgotten herself, sacrificing her own dreams for her family. But now she realizes that her happiness is just as important as that of her husband or their future children. Jin-Joo decides to devote more time to her interests and to think about career opportunities that previously seemed unattainable. Ban-do, for his part, finds the past coming back to him in the form of unfinished business. His work commitments begin to mount, and he is offered lucrative opportunities at work that could lead to a promotion. Ban-do is faced with a difficult choice: accept the new responsibilities and focus on his career as he once did, or give them up for the sake of his family and his relationship with Jin-Joo. He realizes that if he makes work his top priority again, he might lose Jin-Joo, but it's hard to turn down the opportunities offered too. One day, Ban-do receives an urgent call from work, asking him to stay late to finish an important project. He's faced with a choice: go to the meeting with Jin-Joo that they've long planned, or stay and fulfill his work obligations. Ban-do remembers all their past fights caused by his constant delays at work, and realizes that he can't let this scenario happen again. Despite pressure from his coworkers, he decides to go to Jin-Joo, showing that her place in his life is now a priority. When they meet, Jin-Joo notices that Ban-do has changed. His actions confirm that he's willing to work on their relationship and put her interests first. This small but important action gives her back her confidence that their marriage can indeed be saved if they both keep moving forward. Jin-Joo feels their bond growing stronger every day, and she begins to feel more confident that they're on the right track. Meanwhile, Ban-do and Jin-Joo's friends notice a change in their behavior. They start asking questions about what's going on between them, because from the perspective of others, they're still just a young couple, just starting a relationship. Jin-Joo and Ban-do try to hide their true feelings and their real history, but their loved ones notice that something special is happening between them. Amidst this, new challenges arise. Ban-do starts receiving invitations to various corporate events where he is asked to prove himself and show his loyalty to the company. Jin-Joo, for her part, also begins to feel pressured by those who expect her to do certain things in the future. Their attempts to find a balance between their personal lives and external circumstances become even more stressful. One of the key moments becomes the evening Ban-do must attend an important business dinner. This could be a major step in his career, but he realizes that Jin-Joo plans to share his thoughts and dreams for the future with him that same evening. Ban-do is faced with a difficult choice: put work before family again, or finally show Jin-Joo that her wishes are more important to him. Ban-do decides to spend the evening with Jin-Joo despite the pressure from his coworkers. He realizes that their relationship deserves more attention and that his priorities have changed. Jin-Joo, seeing his decision, begins to feel confident that Ban-do has truly changed and that they are now both willing to fight for their love. After Ban-do's decision to spend the evening with Jin-Joo instead of going to a business dinner, their relationship continues to strengthen. This choice reaffirmed his willingness to put his family first, which was an important sign to Jin-Joo that he has changed. However, despite these positive changes, they still have difficult challenges ahead of them. Gradually, they begin to realize that just wanting to change things isn't enough. They need to learn how to build a future on new foundations, taking into account all the mistakes of the past. Ban-do is now more focused on supporting Jin-Joo and showing her that she is the top priority in his life. Not only is he trying to spend more time with her, but he's also really listening to her feelings and desires, which he didn't do in the past. His career no longer takes center stage, and Ban-do decides not to miss the opportunity to be close to Jin-Joo, building their future together with new values. However, they soon face another challenge as they discuss their future as a family. Ban-do and Jin-Joo realize that there will be new challenges in their lives, such as creating a stable family and caring for each other on a deeper level. Jin-Joo begins to think about how to combine her dream of independence and personal goals with her responsibilities to her family. In the past, she has often forgotten her own desires, and this has caused her to feel lost. Now she decides not to make any more sacrifices for her family if it means giving up her own dreams. One day, during another candid conversation, Jin-Joo confesses to Ban-do that she still doubts whether they can build a new future without the pressures that existed in their marriage. She says that she wants to keep a balance between her family and her own life, and that brings a wave of realization to Ban-do. He begins to realize that their problems weren't caused by his behavior alone, but that they've both forgotten that they each need support and space to express themselves. Together, they begin to look for new ways to build their future. Ban-do suggests that they talk openly to each other about their plans and dreams, trying not to ignore their needs for the sake of preserving the relationship. Jin-Joo supports this idea and decides that she needs more time to figure out her goals. They both begin to see their relationship become more mature and balanced as they realize the importance of open communication and support. Meanwhile, another challenge looms on the horizon. Ban-do faces problems at work again when his superiors offer him a promotion. This would be an important step in his career, But with it comes a great deal of responsibility and commitment that could again affect his relationship with Jin-Joo. Ban-do now realizes that every step in his career requires an evaluation of how compatible it will be with his personal life. He begins to consider what is more important to him, career ambitions or family. Jin-Joo, seeing that Ban-do is once again facing a difficult choice, decides to support him in whatever decision he makes. However, she emphasizes that their relationship shouldn't be hurt again because of his job. Jin-Joo is now unafraid to speak her mind and makes her boundaries clear so that their married life doesn't repeat the same mistakes of the past. Ban-do, seeing her confidence and determination, is even more convinced that their marriage is getting stronger. They begin to discuss how they can structure their lives so that both career and family do not conflict with each other. Ban-do concludes that while promotion is important, he can't afford to lose what they have regained with Jin-Joo. He decides to accept the offer, but to set boundaries so that he doesn't repeat old mistakes and maintain a work-life balance. These decisions lead Ban-do and Jin-Joo to begin to trust each other more. Their marriage is now built on respect, understanding, and a willingness to work on themselves. Jin-Joo is no longer afraid to talk about his desires and dreams, and Ban-do no longer puts career before family. Together, they realize that despite the challenges, their relationship has strengthened and grown much deeper than ever before. After Choi, Ban-do and Ma Jin-Joo learn to talk more openly with each other, their relationship improves significantly. Their marriage is now based on trust and understanding, but there are still many challenges ahead. Ban-do, busy with his new responsibilities at work after his promotion, is trying to keep a balance between his career and personal life so as not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Jin-Joo, for his part, continues to work on himself, striving to maintain his independence while leaving room for love and support in his marriage. They both realize that the future depends on their decisions and efforts, but are no longer afraid to discuss any issues that arise. Openness and willingness to compromise has become their main tool in overcoming their differences. Jin-Joo, who used to always put family before her own needs, is now confidently expressing her desires and dreams. She continues to develop as a person without forgetting her place in the family, and this brings her satisfaction. Meanwhile, Ban-do finds that his job is increasingly demanding his presence and commitment. Despite his decision to put his family first, the pressure from his superiors begins to mount. Ban-do realizes that he must now make a choice, to continue building his career with the prospect of further advancement, but at the risk of sinking back into work, or to give up some of his responsibilities for the sake of family happiness. This choice becomes a serious challenge for him. Jin-Joo sees that Ban-do is at a crossroads. She understands how important a sense of professional success is to him, but she also realizes that their relationship could suffer again if he goes headlong into work. Instead of pressuring him, Jin-Joo decides to support him in finding a solution. She suggests that he openly discuss all of his doubts and fears, hoping that together they can find a compromise. Ban-do, inspired by her support, decides to talk to his boss and set boundaries so that work will no longer interfere with his personal life. The move proves to be a difficult one, but he realizes that in order to be happy, he needs not only to build a career, but also to be close to those he loves. He makes an agreement with management that he will continue to work, but with a more flexible schedule that will allow him more time to spend with his family. This decision becomes a turning point for their relationship. Ban-do no longer feels torn between his career and personal life, and now he can spend more time with Jin-Joo, who also feels that their union has become even stronger. They both realize that their work on themselves and their relationship has paid off, and that they can now build a future in which each of them feels happy and fulfilled. Jin-Joo, too, is beginning to see that their relationship has entered a new phase. She now feels more confident about her place in life and marriage. Her support for Ban-do and his ability to listen to her has become the foundation for their path forward. They are no longer afraid that their feelings might be shattered by external circumstances because they have learned to work on themselves and take care of each other. At the same time, Ban-do and Jin-Joo begin to think about starting a family. This topic becomes an important part of their discussions, and they decide that they are ready to start a new phase of their lives together. Jin-Joo feels that they now have a strong foundation to grow as a family, and Ban-do realizes that he is ready to not only be successful in his work, but also to be a support for his wife and future children. After Choi, Ban-do and Ma Jin-Joo make the decision to no longer repeat the mistakes of the past and build a healthy relationship, their lives begin to take on new meaning. Their confidence in maintaining a balance between work and family becomes the foundation for a new phase in their marriage. They are still continuing to learn from each other, adapting to the changes that have happened to them in recent weeks and building their future together with new priorities. Ban-do, feeling that he has been able to establish boundaries between his career and personal life, no longer feels internal conflict. He enjoys being able to spend more time with Jin-Joo, and finally feels like their lives are moving in the right direction. Jin-Joo, for his part, notices that they are now closer to each other than ever before. They're no longer afraid to discuss their thoughts and feelings, which used to be the main reason for their breakup. One of the key moments for them is the decision to start thinking about the future in terms of starting a family. Jin-Joo and Ban-do begin to talk more and more about what their life together will look like in the future. They are no longer afraid to plan, Knowing that their relationship is now based on a solid foundation of understanding and support, they each feel that they are ready for the new challenges the future will bring. In the meantime, they continue to enjoy their young lives. The same events are happening around them as when they first experienced their youth, but now they perceive them from a new perspective. Friends and acquaintances begin to notice the change between them and ask questions about what caused such a strong bond between them. Ban-do and Jin-Joo, smiling, realize that this second chance has given them an opportunity not just to change the past, but to understand each other better. However, they soon face a new challenge. Ban-do receives another job offer that, despite his successes, requires a large time investment. This job offer is related to a major project that could lead him to even higher career achievements, but on the other hand, it requires long business trips and a large time investment. Ban-do is again faced with the choice of diving into career opportunities or continuing to build his personal happiness. Now, he doesn't feel the same inner conflict as before, but he realizes that this choice could affect his relationship with Jin-Joo again. Ban-do decides to discuss his proposal with her and hear her opinion. Jin-Joo, while supportive of his professional success, reminds him that their priorities have changed and that their relationship requires constant work and time. She expresses her willingness to support him in whatever decision he makes, but makes it clear that they both need to maintain a balance between career and family. This candid conversation makes Ban-do realize that their relationship is now based on mutual respect and making decisions together. He decides to turn down the offer of a new position, realizing that his personal happiness with Jin-Joo is more important than his career ambitions. Jin-Joo, seeing his decision, feels that their union has grown even stronger and they are truly ready for a future together. Together, they continue to make plans for the future, now with the confidence that their love has withstood all the trials that have come their way. Jin-Joo, who used to fear that their relationship might crumble again, now sees that they've been able to rebuild everything that seemed lost. Ban-do and Jin-Joo learn to enjoy every moment they spend together, knowing that their choices have become the right ones and that their future will be filled with happiness. Choi, Ban-do and Ma Jin-Joo finally reach a point where their relationship has found the stability and harmony they could only dream of in the past. By returning to their young bodies and going through a second chance, they were able to rethink their past and learn important lessons. Now their marriage is built on stronger foundations of trust, mutual understanding, and conscious work on themselves. Ban-do and Jin-Joo realize that their journey was not just a way to change the future, but an opportunity to rediscover the importance of love and mutual support. They both realize that happiness in marriage doesn't just appear on its own. It's a constant work in progress, listening to each other and compromising when necessary. It is these values that have become the foundation for them in their new life. Realizing that they are now ready for the next step, Ban-do and Jin-Joo begin to think seriously about starting a family. In the past, this topic has been the cause of much internal conflict and anxiety, especially for Jin-Joo, who felt she was losing herself as a mother and wife. Now, however, having realized that it is important to not only support each other, but also to maintain their own interests and ambitions, they make this decision with a much greater sense of confidence. One day, sitting on the couch after a long day, they discuss their plans. Jin-Joo talks about how important it is for her to maintain her sense of independence and develop her own identity, even as a mother. She doesn't want to repeat the mistakes of the past, when her own needs took a backseat. Ban-do, seeing how much Jin-Joo has grown during their second chance, respectfully and understandingly agrees with her. He tells her that he's ready to support her in her aspirations and will do everything he can to make sure their marriage doesn't limit her dreams or his own. For Ban-do, this was also an important realization. In the past, he was often immersed in his work and overlooked the emotional and family aspects of their lives. Now he realizes that his professional achievements are meaningless without the full support of his family and happy relationships. Ban-do decides he's willing to follow his career goals, but not at the expense of their marriage and future family. He promises Jin-Joo that he will share all child and home responsibilities with her so that they can both maintain a balance between their personal lives and family matters. Their decision to start a new chapter in their lives becomes even more realized and considered. They realize that their marriage has suffered in the past, not only because of external factors such as work or household, but also because they forgot how to support each other. Now Ban-do and Jin-Joo have decided that they will never let that happen again. They've learned how to be honest with each other and are ready to continue developing those skills. It's important for them to not just be parents, but partners who continue to support each other in everything. They discuss how they will make important decisions together about their future children and how they will share responsibilities in the family. Jin-Joo talks about how it's important for her not to lose her identity as a mother, and Ban-do agrees that they both need to remain individuals with their own interests and goals. After this conversation, they begin to bond even more. Ban-do and Jin-Joo feel that their union has grown stronger, and now they can plan their future with confidence. Together, they decide that they will create a family where love, support, and respect come first. These are not just words, they truly believe that they can overcome any difficulties if they continue to work on themselves and their relationship. Soon, they begin to actively prepare for this new chapter. Ban-do suggests that they plan together how they will develop their lives, not only as parents but also as partners. They decide to spend more time with each other, to make small but important gestures that strengthen their marriage. Jin-Joo, who used to often feel lonely in her marriage, now sees that Ban-do has become her true partner, who is willing to support her and help her in any situation. This change in their relationship doesn't go unnoticed by their friends either. Those who knew Ban-do and Jin-Joo before notice how much they have changed. Friends and family marvel at how they were able to overcome their past problems and come out of the crisis stronger and happier than ever. Many even start asking them how they've managed to make such changes, and Ban-do and Jin-Joo sincerely share that love takes work and openness, but it's worth it. Amid these positive changes, they continue to build their lives as young adults, but with deeper understandings and new goals. Each day brings them new opportunities to get to know each other from a new perspective and better understand what it takes to be happy together. Ban-do and Jin-Joo, having been through such a serious ordeal, are now ready for new challenges, confident that they can handle any difficulties. They begin to dream about what their lives will be like in a few years. Jin-Joo, unlike in the past, is no longer afraid to face the future with confidence, knowing that now they can handle any difficulties. Ban-do, too, realizes that the future can be bright and full of joy if they work together. Their journey to the past has come to an end, and now Ban-do and Jin-Joo return to their present, full of hope and confidence that their love has overcome all challenges. They no longer fear the future and are ready to face it with confidence, knowing that the second chance they've been given has opened their eyes to what's really important in life. The finale of this story shows that true love is not just an emotion, but a conscious choice to work on yourself and your relationship every day. Ban-do and Jin-Joo were able to realize this after going through many trials, and now they are ready to go through life together, creating a happy future filled with trust, respect, and love.